Howdy folks, my name is Johniki, and this is Madame Bathsheba, and together we are Catamancy Tarot. So welcome to another little basket video, and the theme for this basket is a little bit out there, but stick with me. Every time around this time of year when things start getting dark, you know, daylight savings hit and suddenly it's dark at like 4 o'clock and you're just like, where did all the day go? And that's when you start to feel kind of sad. I'm in Michigan, so I get some pretty intense, you know, seasonal affective disorder, and that's kind of the inspiration for this basket a little bit. So it's dark outside, so I've gotten out all of my decks with black borders. And so I've collected them all and put them all in one place. So if you're interested in decks that have all black borders, this might be the video for you. And I was also inspired by Ellie at the Hidden Grove Tarot. I'll link her video below, but she did a video that was fun, which was like all of her green decks, which was great. So this is all of my black decks, except for a few of them that were in my last basket video. I left out some of my like Halloween goth decks because I just talked about those. But today we're also thinking about the on the mood board for vibes is also, you know, it's dark outside and it's winter and you're cold and you're driving down the road at night, and then you see all of these Christmas lights and they, you know, they're colorful and they're bright and they kind of give you a little bit of color in the darkness. So all of the decks I've pulled out for this month are also like very colorful and very vibrant. It's, you know, Sagittarius season, so there's some kind of like fire and sparks and things that are getting you excited. So that's the theme for the basket. I'm not sure what we're gonna call it yet, but this is, you know, I guess dark days, colorful nights kind of thing. So it's a little bit fast and loose, but this is what I've got for you this month. And as per usual with my basket videos, if you'd like to stick around at the end, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a collective reading for us. So with that, let's take a look. All right, so when I think dark time of the year, for some reason, every Sagittarius season, when it starts to get dark out around 4 o'clock, and you know, you have to have all of the lights on, and I just find myself really wanting to have like bursts of color in the darkness. And the deck I reach for is always the Telesma Tarot. For some reason, I just feel like this is like a very fiery deck, but the black borders make it feel like for me, it's definitely a dark time of the year deck. So it's the deck that I reach for around, I don't know, starting Sagittarius season every year. This is the deck I want to be working with. I also thought it would be fun to just have a video of all of my decks with black borders, because I feel like if I've got a deck with black borders, I want to match it with other decks with black borders, and I feel like black borders are the second most common border color. I don't know. So yeah, the Telesma is out. Telesma, I've been using the Telesma all the time with this guy here, and this is my copy of When Olga Speaks. And so I think Sasha Lopez is going to be relaunching the Kickstarter for this in the new year, so keep an eye out for that. But this has been my favorite Oracle deck of the year for sure, and I've been using it a lot with I've been using this pair a lot. I've been traveling with this pair. This pair just, I don't know, it's been really working for me, and they both feel very exciting. They both feel like fairly urban also. Um, and yeah, yeah, I've really been loving this pair. And the other deck that I want to throw, maybe throw in the middle here, to also talk about is another deck that I acquired this year. And that's this one. This is Manzel's Tarot, and I found the second edition. And this is another deck that I think works really well with both of these. And this was a unicorn deck of mine. I didn't think I was gonna find it, but I managed to track down a copy on Facebook Marketplace this year, and I'm really glad. I'm really glad I have it. And this feels a little bit more celestial. We're in space future here, which is a little bit of a different vibe, but I still really like it and use it in tandem with these other guys. And yeah, I've been digging it. I've been digging it for sure. So these are the I think these are the decks that kind of like inspired the idea for this basket video, because they all just feel I don't know, they have a for me they just feel like they have a similar similar something going on. I'm excited by this combo. I think this is really fun. But yeah, so that's these three guys starting us out for the you know, flashes of color in the darkness. And then I guess next up, let's see here. I've got a few more. This one isn't. I wouldn't say. I don't think it's a. It's kind of a collage. I think it's sort of mixed media. You might call it a digital. It's digital art. So it is maybe a digital collage, but I've got a few more analog collage decks to show you with black borders, and we'll start off with two tarot, and then we'll do two more oracle decks. So the other two black bordered collage decks are Jumble Dance and Daydreaming in C2, both of which I also acquired this year. Daydreaming in C2 has been on my radar since it came out. I was super bummed that her Thoth deck didn't fund on Kickstarter. I think she set a really high goal. But I was bummed when it didn't fund, so I'm looking forward to hopefully she finds another way to get it out to the world. But this has been a really this really beautiful deck to work with this year. It's very textured. Like look at all the waves, and like the sand is collaged sand, and you know, the sky is collaged bits of sky. So it feels like a different approach to collage than some others, and it also feels like most of the source material is kind of more European art, older time periods than the Talisman When Olga Speaks, which feels much more contemporary. But this has been a really beautiful one, and I'm glad I snagged a copy before she sold out of them. And yeah, it's a very pretty one, and this is definitely a deck that you can kind of like fall into the images a little bit. This is one of my favorite cards, just with the impossible cathedral architecture going on there. I think it's visually like really, really interesting. Um, so that's Daydreaming in C2. And then the other one I wanted to talk about um, was Jumble Dance. And this is actually a deck. It's a deck from the 90s. That's collage, and I love collage decks, and I love 90s decks. So I was really hoping that this would be like a total home run for me. Um, but it turns out I actually haven't found myself reaching for this one all that often, for whatever reason. It is a pip deck, and some of the pips are really fun. Um, but it feels it feels very arts and crafts. So it kind of feels sometimes like it's a, especially with the funky font. Sometimes it feels like this is a kid deck, if that makes sense. Like this, I don't know. It feels like it's very child friendly. I know we're seeing all the boys all lined up here. Um, I like all the vessels and the cups. I think that's fun. But yeah, for whatever reason, this isn't a deck that um, I want to love it more than I do, but with cards like this, it like the cheese level still feels very high. But I thought I would pull it out because I want to give it a proper chance. And it definitely fits our vibe today with like very uh black bordered decks that have like an explosion of color going on. Like that's definitely in Jumble Dance's wheelhouse. Sorry, bad tarot pun. I'll put it away. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, and then I thought we would move along to to collage oracles with black borders. And we'll start off with this little guy that I decided to make a pouch for because it came in a Game Crafters tuck box that was starting to fall apart, and I've only had it for half a year. And this is the Craft Decadence Oracle. These are the backs. I edged mine in some funky colors, which I really love. I think it works really well. And this is a really special little guy. And I've been using this for a couple months. I used this deck constantly, and I used it actually a lot in readings for other people. So this deck, some decks I acquire, and I never use them for other people. They're just for me, or they feel too niche, or like they're too involved, or they just don't feel quite, I don't know, immediately shareable. But this one I've used a lot with some like grad school friends, partially because the keywords are just so bonkers and so interesting and really provocative. Chaotic withdrawal, obsessive engineering, precious apparition, outstanding revelation, cherished chimera. So it's got some really interesting stuff going on in there. I feel like this is I mentioned in I talked about this deck in my last Oracle, my first Oracle update. And I feel like this is a deck that kind of the keywords do more work than the images do, but that's all right. It has some really really fun keywords. The one thing I have mentioned that I absolutely cannot stand about this deck is the linen finish from Game Crafters. You can see it here, but it's just like so visually distracting to me because like it's not a regular pattern, and there's like weird, it almost looks like a what do you call those, like a when you take apart a phone or a little gadget, and it's got that like green switchboard at the back. What are those guys called? It looks like that, and I just find it terribly distracting, and I wish on Game Crafters there was an option not to have this finish, because I would do anything not to have it. So that's the one kind of drawback. But this is, again, super dark and moody, very colorful, but in these like intense greens and purples and pinks. And so yeah, it definitely fits our we're dark and intense. uh, there's no sun, so we have to find our own color vibe that's going on. And it's cute. It's just a little guy. It's poker size. So it's very, very transportable. Very transportable. And then we've also got this guy. This is the Wild Goddess Oracle by Amy Zerner and Monty Farber. And here we go. I love the size of this deck. I think the size is really, really interesting because it's bigger than poker size, but it's smaller than smaller than like a regular oracle size, a little bit smaller than a standard tarot size. So it's a perfect size, and it's another deck that's like vibrantly colorful with these black borders. So again, it fits our dark and colorful, which I guess is quite specific. And this is a deck of they're all different archetypes, and then on the back we get a few little quips, a little something on the back. I love this card. I think this one is really beautiful. I love look at the little swans. It's so cute. And I've been I've been using this deck with another dark and colorful deck that also has a lot of this, feminine archetype energy going on, and that is the Black Madonna Tarot. Here they are together. We'll take some off here so we can see them a little bit better. And I think that they've been working well together. I think they've been fun to have in conversation with one another, because they both have that feminine aspect going on. And yeah, we're dealing with some big archetypes in both of them. And I that's been my thought process with these. And the Black Madonna to me feels very, very ancestral. I wasn't raised Christian, but my ancestors were Catholic, right? Yeah, so this is that pairing, which I think is quite cute. Quite cute. And then the other deck that I thought I would take out and play around with is another deck that to me feels very ancestral, and it also fits with the dark and colorful. And that is this guy. I don't know if you've seen it before, but this is Tarot Droga, or Tarot of the Path, and this is a Polish deck that's got this really kind of unique feature in the majors, and all of the images are actually made from ceramic tablets. So the idea that it's kind of made out of clay is and it feels like very earthy, very grounded, and because of that, it also feels to me it feels kind of it's got some ancestral stuff going on. So if we pull out some of the majors, we can see we can start having some fun with these because if we see here, sometimes they'll connect up in interesting ways, and if you lay them out all in order, you know you will kind of end up making a big loop, which is really cool. So that's where the Tarot of the Path comes from, is you have, and this is 14, or anyways, yeah, you get to see some of what's going on, and you can kind of create this little path going on. But it is another, we're we're dark and moody, and there's like an intensity, but there's also this kind of explosion of color going on. Yeah, so that's the Terra Droga, and it's another deck that I really get out seasonally, and I really only use it at this time of the year for whatever reason. So that kind of brings us to this last sort of batch of decks, and that are more kind of botanical. But before we get to those, we have a visitor. The Madame has come to intrude on the filming. Excuse me, Madame. Madame, please. So if you if you saw my most recent Oracle deck video, my Oracle update number 2. You'll have seen these guys come out to play, and that's the Outgrow Yourself Oracle. Oh, that's my cat's tail. Oh, madam, please. With 50 plants that heal and dirt gems, and I feel like the other deck that kind of lives in this family is the Crow's Magic, which it's not a plant deck, but it's an animal deck. And all of these, they don't have black borders, but they have black backgrounds. So I'm counting them here, and they're all extremely kind of colorful, vibrant, intense decks. The cat has just decided that this is where she's gonna be. Excuse me. We might have to move her. One moment, please. Okay, the madam has been removed. So yeah, these are all either botanical or animal, and they're all very, very vibrant and all kind of intense in their own ways. I guess we'll start. We'll get them all out. So here we've got Crow's Magic, which probably feels a little bit more Scorpio season than it does Sag season to me. But we're still in that dark time of the year, exploring different kind of levels of intensity here. It's a really weird guy, but also very fun. And I think it like visually it goes really well with something like Dirt Gems. I hear this deck is going to come out mass market, and I'm excited for that. Oh, cat. She's done it again. She just wants to come and sit, and I'm showing you my behind the screen's mess, and oh, one moment, please. So as I was saying, I'm excited for the mass market edition of the Dirt Gems to come out, but I love the copy that I have, and so this has always been like a good pairing to me, and I've had these two for a number of years now, a couple years, and yeah, I really like just how weird this one is, and this one, the guidebook, is really intense. I don't know if you've had experience with that guidebook, but it's probably the guidebook that has made me cry more than any other guidebook, but like in the best way, in the best possible way. So yeah, I've got these guys out, and then when I was starting my quest for more Oracle decks, I picked up Outgrow Yourself, which is well loved by many people, and I thought I would give it a try. And it works super duper well with Dirt Gems. And Outgrow Yourself is, it's technically, it has all of the Thoth correspondences. So we get the titles of the majors, the courts, and then the keywords. We get the keywords for all of the minors. And since I haven't memorized all of the Thoth keywords, I know, I really should. I decided to put a secret code and mark on the backs what each of the minors are, and I think it, I got the idea I mentioned from the marked edition of the Ritual Tarot, which has the titles kind of hidden in the back, and I think they're really unintrusive, and I can look at it if I want to, but it's not. I think it's a very a mod that's really working for me. And ooh, look at this one. This is great. I love this combo. But as I mentioned in my last Oracle video, I feel like this deck, to me, it reads a lot more like a tarot rather than an Oracle deck for whatever reason. Yeah, for me, I just feel like the tarot associations often end up doing more work for me than the little saying at the top. These little sometimes they're questions, sometimes they're exclamations, and I think they're cute, but I oftentimes feel like the tarot associations just come through a little bit stronger, and then the little tagline feels like it often supports the tarot message. And so for me, I've been using this deck mostly as a tarot, which I don't mind at all. I think it's super cute. And it's been, fitting the vibe, and I think it goes even better with the Dirt Gems than Crow's Magic did, so I think it'll be taking its place in terms of, when I want to use Dirt Gems, I'm probably always going to draw this guy too, if I want a tarot deck to work with. And yeah, that's what I've been feeling. And then 50 Plants That Heal is one of those decks that you use almost exclusively for vibes and nothing else. Sometimes it's nice to just have plants as a kind of like a pure embellishment, and this feels like a really, really cute little family we got going on of these guys, right? I think they're all part of this mood that I've got going on. What do you guys think? So these have been all of my all of my dark and moody decks uh, that acknowledge the darkness, but also bring a little color into the world. Some much needed like energy, and yeah, they're giving me a little bit of life. uh, so that's all of the decks I really wanted to show you today. But stick around for a moment because we're gonna do a little collective reading for everyone. So I've decided on this pairing for our little collective reading because honestly, this pairing best reflects what I've been getting up to recently. These guys have been my constant companion. It's the Telesma and When Olga Speaks. And today I just thought we would do a little collective reading about kind of where we're headed, where we're headed for the next year. And I feel like the end of December can be like just a moment to kind of like slow down. And it's a moment when we have time to kind of think about transitions. So maybe this reading today can help support our transition into the new year. It's often a time of reflection, and it can be grim sometimes when you're reflecting about what actually happened versus what you wanted to happen over the last year. Sometimes you can we have a tendency to be really hard on ourselves for like if we didn't accomplish all of the goals, or I don't know, sometimes this dark time of the year can be a little bit cruel. And sometimes it can also be a time to like hang out with loved ones and just chill for a minute. So it can also offer us a little bit of a reprieve. So we're gonna do my handy dandy the way through spread. So the way it works is I'll go ahead and cut the deck for us. From the top, I'll draw a card that represents where we've been the rest of this year, and I'll pull a card from the bottom to represent where we're headed in this kind of transition moment. And then we've got an above and below bridge here. So for me, these three bottom cards here, this bridge is about practical steps, how to get from point A to point B. And then these top cards are kind of higher guidance for our path. And then, because who could ever use just one? We've also got When Olga Speaks, and we're going to add some supporting cards to take a look at for us today. And I recently edged this deck in this kind of like dark brown color that matches the little borders on the backs, and I actually really like it. I like it a lot. All right. So we'll go ahead and we'll cut the deck. And we'll do one from the top, one from the bottom, one for above, and one for below. So starting us off, let's take a look at where we're at. Ooh, we've got Queen of Coins and Exposed. And I think this is a really interesting image of our Queen of Coins with the word exposed. This is a different kind of exposure. This is why I love reading with multiple decks and multiple like different artists' renderings of these, because if you just had the Rider-Waite Smith Queen of Coins, you wouldn't get this like connotation of exposure. And so maybe this is a time of year when we're feeling like a need to withdraw because perhaps we've been exposed, and not just in the sense of um, showing off your vulnerable bits. um, but, maybe this is a time to kind of think about, as we kind of retreat from our regular public lives, having a moment to, uh, feel a little bit more protected, a little bit more safe. I know uh, for me, this is resonating just in terms of um, sometimes making YouTube videos, I can feel the sense of being overexposed, and sometimes it's hard to make videos because of that feeling. So for me, this is a sign that it's time to withdraw a little bit. It's okay to be vulnerable, but there's times when that can feel really scary, right? So it's okay to have a moment right now, um, where we need to kind of like recover from being a little bit too exposed in the world. And then let's take a look at where we're heading to this transitory moment. Oh boy. We've got the Protector, and we've also got the Three of Swords, which I think is not the card that you want to draw for. This might not be the card that we want to see of like, how are things gonna go? And this is one of those cards where you're like, well, I hope it's not that one, but then it is, and you're just like, well, alrighty then. But we've also got the Protector, and thinking about going from feeling exposed to feeling protected, I think this is a time when we need to protect our hearts a little bit from the swords of being out in the world. And right now, the world is an absolutely heartbreaking place. Um, it's real rough out there. Um, you know, it's uh, it's a lot. It's a lot to handle, and so maybe um, as we're transitioning to this new year, taking some time to like really protect your heart, and protect, make sure that when you do feel like you want to expose yourself a little bit to the world, make sure that you have the right kind of protections in place, that you're with people who you feel safe with, that you have established boundaries, that you're able to kind of be vulnerable, but in ways that you still feel safe and feel protected. So that's an interesting reading for us. So let's take a look at how do we get from exposed to protected. We have the Hermit, we have the Six of Cups, and we have the Four of Wands, and we have the Cat who's returned, as well as Joy as a Temple, which I really love. So first of all, we have the Hermit. So maybe now is a time to withdraw a little bit. And let's see if this guy will focus for us. Oh, will he focus? Oh, I guess I have to hold it here. So we've got our Hermit, um, which is this kind of like interesting forest, like fortress in the Badlands. Um, and so, yeah, I think for us right now, the first step is maybe this is a time when we can withdraw a little bit from the world and work on our inner sanctuaries. Like, maybe it's time to do some tidying up or some reordering or some like inventory of your inner sanctuary. Do some like inner housekeeping. um, then we've got the Six of Cups, and I love the sixes. I think of the sixes oftentimes as like recovering after the fives, which are often quite difficult. And so the Six of Cups feels like this kind of moment of emotional recovery. We're recovering from the grief of the five. We're like simple pleasures, so enjoying things that used to bring you joy. This is also sometimes a card that's associated with like nostalgia or like childhood fond memories. A lot of us might be traveling to spaces that were very familiar to us in childhood. So like going back home, or if if that's something you do for the holidays, and like do some of those things that you used to love around the holidays, things that kind of bring you those kind of like joyful moments. Remember, joy is a temple. So, doing some joyful things. And we're also, I think we've got the Four of Wands here. And as we're doing all of our end of year recaps, this is a good time to also like take into account all of the things that you want to celebrate, all of your little accomplishments. They don't have to be big accomplishments, they can be little guys. So maybe if you're someone who enjoys to journal or enjoys to do some reflection, maybe inventory some of the things that you feel really proud about this year. Maybe thinking about times when you kind of exposed yourself and it was really scary, but you kind of, you were a queen about it and you got it done and you got it accomplished. Yeah, so that's some practical steps of going from feeling too exposed to kind of feeling a little bit more protected with your heart space stuff. And then we'll look at some above guidance here. So our above guidance is we have the Empress, we have Fortune, and we have the Four of Cups. And so I think it's interesting. We've got a 4 and a 4 right here. We've got the Empress, and I sometimes think the Queen of Coins and the Empress feel quite connected to me. And let's take a look at what we've got above here. We've also got boundaries, which makes sense in terms of like needing to feel a little bit more protected moving forward. So I also think that Fortune, or the Wheel of Fortune, is a good card to think about with the turning of the wheel. The end of one year, the starting of another. Tens are all about cycles, endings, and beginnings. It's also, it's related to Jupiter, so it's kind of about expansion, right? This kind of expansive moment of, and it's also kind of very recursive. So I think this is a time when we've been here before, but it's a little bit different time this time, and we're gonna do it again. So we've got a little bit of that energy going on. We've got a little bit of Empress, and then we've also got the Four of Cups. And with fours, we're often thinking about different forms of stability, right? Four is a very stable number. We've got, my cat's got 4 legs. She moves around pretty stably. Table's got 4 legs. Fours usually have to do with stability in the tarot. And so with cups, sometimes it can be about finding that emotional stability, right? Finding places where you can, I don't know, lie down and feel stable in what your daydreams are, and maybe you're daydreaming of what your virtual house will look like, or you're daydreaming of, is that a flying platypus, or little romantic tryst getaway, whatever it is that you're kind of like daydreaming about. Make some safe containers for those dreams. And with the 4, sometimes we can get into a little bit of dissatisfaction when sometimes we can prefer it in our daydreams than in the real world, and we get some mismatch going on. We get a little bit of dissatisfaction creeping in. So making sure we make rooms for our daydreams, but we don't live in them. And then we've also got boundaries. So thinking about, being around certain folks for the holidays might be time to get some certain boundaries that you want to have in place. So this is a good time to think about those boundaries, right? And so that's our little collective reading today. I hope it's been resonating for you somewhat. I hope That's the thing about collective readings is, they're for the collective, so you never really know how they're gonna land. But you know, stay. I hope you have a. I guess I wish you all very protected, safe hearts. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's a weird thing to say. Anyways, thanks for joining me this month. I'll see you guys very soon. Bye for now.